It's Thursday, December 18th. In the headlines, Tourism Minister leads delegate to U.S. to stimulate post-Melissa market. In business news, we give you the latest market updates. Regionally, Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister denies involvement in U.S.-Venezuela blockade. And in sports, 4 Mount Pleasant players make Caribbean Cup Best 11. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I am Danita Rodney. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett departed the island on Wednesday for a 3-day strategic mission to New York aimed at accelerating Jamaica's tourism recovery following Hurricane Melissa. With the United States as Jamaica's primary source market, the mission will provide direct engagement with major media outlets and key trade publications to ensure continued stability and growth in visitor arrivals. Minister Bartlett will undertake an intensive media campaign in New York with appearances on NBC, Fox, and WPIX. He will also meet with key travel editors and attend a luncheon with top industry publications. The trip follows the official start of Jamaica's 2025-2026 winter tourist season on December 15. About 70% of hotel inventory is operational, and over 300,000 visitors have arrived since the hurricane, reflecting a strong industry rebound. The delegation, which includes Jamaica Tourist Board Tourism Director Donovan White and the Public Relations and Communications Manager Fiona Fennell, returns to the island on Saturday, December 20, 2025. Tax Administration Jamaica says month-end Saturday openings will continue at select tax offices, but the every Saturday schedule has been discontinued. Because the December month-end falls on the Christmas weekend, several offices will open instead on Saturday, December 20 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. These include Constant Spring, Kingston Downtown, Montego Bay Freeport, Mandeville, Maypen, St. Anne's Bay, and Brownstown. The Portmore office will be closed and no offices will open on December 27. Available services include motor vehicle transactions, driver's license renewals, property tax payments, TRN applications, and all tax and fee payments. Compliance and audit services will not be offered. TAJ is encouraging customers to also use its online payment platforms for added convenience. For further information, contact TAJ Customer Care Center at 888-TAX-HELP. That is 888-829-4357 or visit www.jamaicatax.gov.jm. As the holiday party season ramps up, the Jamaica Fire Brigade is reminding organizers that safety comes first. The JFB says all major events must have a valid certificate of safety, warning that failure to comply could have serious legal and life-threatening consequences. The reminder comes from the Jamaica Fire Brigade as entertainment events increase across the island. Speaking during a recent Jamaica Information Service think tank, Public Education Officer Superintendent Emilia Ibang stressed that the certificate of safety is not optional. It is a legal requirement for all major events.
Point out that all events need a certificate of safety, a permit from the Jamaica Fire Brigade. And the Jamaica Fire Brigade is the only entity that gives a safety permit. All events, you need a safety permit from the Jamaica Fire Brigade. What that does, in the event that something happens and persons decide to go to the courts, if you do not have this, then you are standing literally on no feet, because then you would not have had the venue tested and certified by the Jamaica Fire Brigade. So legally, that is an obligation.
Superintendent Ebanks also urged patrons to take personal responsibility by checking whether venues they attend have been certified and by being alert once inside. He warned that in many fires at entertainment venues, injuries and deaths are often caused not by flames, but by panic and stampedes.
A lot of the times when you have fires in these spaces, it's not the fire that actually caused the carnage. It's a stampede that happens as a result of the fires. Never ever run. Walk briskly and get to the exit and you move on out. But you will only be able to do this if you have that knowledge of where the exits are and where your nearest exit is relative to where you are at a particular time.
The fire officer says early awareness can save lives, encouraging patrons to identify exits while lights are still on.
You go into a space, take a look. Do a visual of this space. Do a 360 of this space. Where your exits are. The nearest exit to you, wherever you are. In the event that something starts, you must now consider the nearest exit and how quickly you can get to that exit, and never, ever, ever run.
The Jamaica Fire Brigade is urging both organizers and patrons to put safety first this holiday season. With the holiday season in full swing, the stress of Christmas can take a toll. But there's one thing you shouldn't ignore: your blood pressure. Today we learn more about hypertension, the so-called silent killer, and why it's important to get checked even if you feel perfectly fine.
Me tired. Me just tired. After all this mess, me just tired.
With Christmas quickly approaching, it can feel like the world is weighing on your shoulders. But in the middle of all the chaos that you're feeling, there's one thing that we must not forget: our health, especially our blood pressure. Today, we hear from a medical expert as we talk about hypertension, what it is, why it's called the silent killer, and why it's important to get checked even when you feel perfectly fine.
What is hypertension?
Hypertension is the same thing as high blood pressure or elevated blood pressure. And hypertension, based on measurement, is when your blood pressure is greater than 140 millimeters of mercury for the systolic figure, and greater than 90 millimeters of mercury for the diastolic figure. It is a condition that is prevalent in Jamaica. More than a third of our adult population, and some figures will be more than that, are diagnosed with hypertension. And then maybe another third of our population, of our adult population, are hypertensive, but they are unaware of their state.
Why is hypertension called the silent killer?
So hypertension is also called the silent killer because many persons are hypertensive, but they feel absolutely nothing. You can be asymptomatic or have no symptoms and have markedly elevated blood pressures. So hypertension is only diagnosed when you put the blood pressure cuff on your arm and have that measured. And that's why we advocate that persons should visit their doctor 2 to 3 times per year to have their blood pressure checked once they reach age 18. And if they have a family history of hypertension, you may want to go more frequently, or you may want to start getting measured earlier than that. They sometimes have clinics in the supermarkets where you can just go and get your blood pressure checked, or at pharmacies that you can get your blood pressure checked.
So how can I control my blood pressure?
So if you can control your lifestyle, then you may not develop elevated blood pressures or as markedly elevated blood pressures. So healthy eating. So there's a diet in which you have reduced processed foods, more fruits and vegetables, more lean meat, fish that's the healthy diet that will promote normal blood pressures. Then you can consider adding exercise to your lifestyle. Make that a normal part of your life. Exercising minimum of 150 minutes per week of aerobic activity, and probably 2 to 3 times per week of muscle strengthening activity, weights. And of course, weight control, which goes along with diet and exercise. You want to try to maintain a normal body mass index in order to reduce your risk of developing hypertension. So as you gain more weight, your blood pressure will go up.
So can I manage my blood pressure by using supplements like garlic only?
Garlic alone, especially in persons with severe hypertension, will not be enough to treat your blood pressure. So we have to be careful with using alternative medications. And I recommend healthy lifestyle plus medications, especially if you're a diagnosed hypertensive and having difficulty in control of your blood pressure.
For more information on hypertension and other health issues, call the Ministry of Health and Wellness or visit their website at www.moh.gov.jm or call 876-633-8172 or 876-633-7771.
A new state-of-the-art Aviation one-stop maintenance center in Hainan, China is set to revolutionize air travel. It is a comprehensive hub where airplanes can be repaired, inspected, and maintained all in one location. This development offers exciting possibilities for Jamaica and the Caribbean to boost tourism, create jobs, and strengthen international connections. Marlon Samuels visited the Aviation Center and filed this report.
With China's plan to diversify Western trading routes, there is an exciting development in Hainan. It's an aviation one-stop maintenance center.
At the Hainan Maintenance Center, customers will enjoy the Hainan FTP policies. For example, when an overseas aircraft come for maintenance, they don't have to pay a deposit. Customers can enjoy good labor and the material provided, which can save costs between 10 to 15%. That's cut of both time and cost. Plus, we also offer one-stop service where we do frame maintenance, painting, and component repair, which means all the service can be done at one time here.
This one-stop aviation center is designed to attract more international airlines to Hainan, create local jobs, and become a major hub for airline services. But the benefits don't stop there. The Caribbean, including Jamaica, can also benefit from this development.
Based on the geographic advantage of Hainan, we are now getting business from countries like South Korea, Europe, Africa, and Middle East. We have a very good global reputation, and more customers are hearing about us and are willing to conduct business with us. After the FTP is advanced, there will be more aircrafts coming to Hainan and more routes open between Hainan and regions like the Caribbean and Latin America that will produce more need for the aircraft maintenance center. This will create more opportunities for us, where in the future we will improve our capabilities by doing passenger and cargo transfers for many different types of aircrafts, as well maintenance of wide-body aircraft to establish a more comprehensive ability to maintain aircrafts here in Hainan.
This can boost tourism, create new business opportunities, and make Jamaica a more important hub for aircraft services and travel in the Caribbean. It's a big opportunity for the Caribbean and Jamaica too. It can help create new jobs, boost tourism, and strengthen regional connections. Reporting from the Aviation Center in Hainan, I am Marlon Samuels for the news on PBCJ.
Time now for the business report with Denise Williams.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, here to bring you the stories shaping the financial world and guiding your journey to smarter business decisions. Let's dive into the top headlines. Ratings agency Caribbean Information and Credit Rating Services, CARICRIS, says Jamaica Public Service Company, JPS, is expected to maintain overall operational and financial stability over the next 12 to 15 months. As a result, the regional agency has maintained JPS's stable outlook and reaffirmed its ratings. However, the ratings agencies has flagged the limited duration of JPS license as a major constraint on the company's ability to secure long-term financing. Carrie Chris says this has affected JPS capacity to rehabilitate critical infrastructure and lock in long-term power supply contracts. As a result, JPS has deferred some infrastructure projects and scaled back its smart grid expansion program to about US $1.7 billion, down from the originally planned US $2.7 billion. For the trading period ending December 16, 2025, these were the most actively traded stocks. Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with 3,100,214 units, representing 27.23% of market sales volume. Wigton Energy Limited with 1,202,475 units, representing 10.56% of market sales volume. MFS Capital Partners Limited with 864,318 units, representing 7.59% of market sales volume. We now shift our focus to the Forex market rate set by the Bank of Jamaica. On December 17, 2025, the Bank of Jamaica reported US $68.10 million purchased and US $64.84 million sold by Forex traders. Forex traders earned $1.58 per dollar, selling the US at $160.72 and buying the US at $159.14. The Canadian dollar netted Forex traders $3.41 per transaction, with selling at $112.66 and buying at $116.07. The British pound yielded Forex traders $2.43 in profit, with selling at $213.87 and buying at $211.44. During national crises, whether it's a climate crisis or an economic crisis, Human Resources Department can protect employee productivity by watching early indicators of financial strain, such as payroll advances, absenteeism, and health card usage. Normalizing financial wellness as a business stability issue and offering short, structured financial education that focuses on practical behaviors like debt reduction and cash flow management rather than one-off seminars can be an important way to boost productivity. Programs that are confidential, group-based, and easy to administer reduce distraction, improve engagement, and support retention, especially among frontline and mid-career staff. Measuring results over 60 to 90 days through engagement trends, absenteeism, and turnover helps HR demonstrate that addressing financial stress is not a perk, but a strategic leveler for sustaining workforce performance during periods of economic pressure. And that wraps up today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, reminding you that every financial decision is a step toward your future. Until next time, stay focused, stay informed, and keep striving for success. See you soon.
In regional news, Prime Minister Kamala Prasad-Bisesa says Trinidad and Tobago is about country first. Her comments comes in the wake of reports that U.S. President Donald Trump ordered a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers in and out of Venezuela. Here's more in this report.
Responding to questions on the recently established blockade by the United States of sanctioned oil tankers around Venezuela, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar notes that all arrangements with the United States are for the betterment of Trinidad and Tobago.
Our partnership with the United States is about Trinidad and Tobago, safety and security here. Those are issues for the Trump administration and for the United States. Trinidad and Tobago is no part of that blockade. We are about Trinidad and Tobago. And we are very happy with how things are progressing with the partnership with the U.S.
Prime Minister Persad-Bissessar says this country is also benefiting from the partnership and from the current state of emergency.
Murders are down by 240. There are 240 less murders this year than last year. Let's not forget that. Over, $200 million in drugs busted only recently. So we're very happy about these things. And there's some good news in all of this. That is good news too, but...
She says the cancelling of gas arrangements by Venezuela is not a new thing, and Trinidad and Tobago will stand alone if it needs to.
We have had over 100 years of an oil and gas economy, and not one drop of oil has come from Venezuela. We have Exxon, we have others working within our fields. We have expanded more fields. Yes, we will welcome the gas, but right now, we don't need it.
Pressed on the issue of tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela, the Prime Minister says Trinidad and Tobago has no intention of engaging in any war with Venezuela.
Also, the Prime Minister is not going to give any response to individuals who hide their identity as anonymous sources, especially in foreign newspapers. She was responding to questions regarding a New York Times article which alleges that the new radar system currently in Tobago is not designed to track maritime or ground targets.
I will not respond to an anonymous story carried in another newspaper. You all write newspapers, you know where you get your anonymous sources from. And when you don't get a source, but you write a story. So I cannot respond to an anonymous source from a paper abroad. I can't respond to every newspaper article.
The Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean, CAF, has approved St. Kitts and Nevis and Haiti as new shareholder countries, expanding its footprint in the region and opening the door for both nations to access flexible development financing, technical support, and climate-focused assistance. SK Newsline has the details.
The Development Bank of Latin America and the Caribbean, CAF, has approved the incorporation of St. Kitts and Nevis and Haiti as new shareholder countries, a move that will allow both nations to access agile and flexible development financing, technical assistance, and knowledge programs tailored to the needs of small island and climate-vulnerable states. With these latest approvals, CAF will triple the number of its Caribbean shareholder countries compared to 2023. The decisions were taken during a recent CAF Board of Directors meeting at Panama City, where the institution also approved more than $3 billion in new operations across the region. The funding will support projects in electricity, infrastructure, water security, sustainable transport, assistance for vulnerable communities, and financing for small and medium-sized enterprises and other productive sectors. These approvals further strengthen CAF's expanding role in the Caribbean. In June 2025, during a board meeting in Seville, Spain, St. Lucia was approved for incorporation. Over the past year, the Bahamas, Antigua and Barbuda, and Grenada have also joined CAF's shareholder base. The institution now has 6 Caribbean shareholder countries, with several others at various stages of incorporation process. CAF Executive President Sergio Diaz-Granados welcomed the new members, noting that their incorporation reinforces CAF's commitment to the Caribbean at a critical time for the region. St. Kitts and Nevis and Haiti are joining a homegrown development bank, he said, that was set up by the region for the region. He added that CAF is more than a bank. It is a bridge that brings Latin America and the Caribbean closer together. We are focused on delivering solutions that reflect the realities of vulnerable Caribbean small island states. CAF brings a fresh approach to development financing, one that works directly with each country to convert its development priorities into sustained progress and impactful development outcomes for their communities. The Board of Directors also confirmed that Barbados has met the requirements to transition to full membership within CAF, joining Trinidad and Tobago as the only other full member from CARICOM. CAF's presence in the Caribbean has continued to expand since the establishment of its regional office in Trinidad and Tobago in 2022. Since then, the institution has supported a wide range of initiatives across the region, including climate financing, resilient infrastructure, modernization of public services, water security, cultural and heritage tourism, education, digital transformation, and programs that support the blue and green economy, among other key development priorities. I'm Audrey Huey for SKN Newsline.
In sports, we kick things off with football. 4 members of the Caribbean Cup champions Mount Pleasant Football Academy were included in the 2025 CONCACAF Caribbean Cup Best 11 that was announced on Tuesday. Goalkeeper Tafari Chambers, defender Jamoy Topi, midfielder Jashawn Anglin, and forward Daniel Green were included in the team that was published on the CONCACAF website. Sporting Director of Mount Pleasant, Paul Christie, has welcomed the inclusion of his players, saying, "The recognition reflects the hard work and dedication of both the athletes and the coaching staff." Earlier this month, the St. Anne-based club captured the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup title with a 3-2 aggregate win over Dominican side Universidad O&M. But attention is now turning to their Jamaica Premier League campaign, where Mount Pleasant sits 4th on 16 points, 10 behind leaders Montego Bay United. For Christie, the team will have to find their footing in the league sooner rather than later. In athletics, track and field stars dominate Jamaica's National Sportsman and Sportswoman of the Year nominations, with 8 of 9 men from the sport. The exception is pistol shooter Anthony Johnson, who made history with a gold at the Handgun World Championship in South Africa. Men's nominees also include Kishane Thompson, Orlando Bennett, Tajay Gale, Brian Level, Wayne Pinnock, Tyler Mason, Raymond Richards, and Oblique Seville. On the women's side, nominees are race car driver Sarah Messier, hurdler Akira Nugent, and sprinters Shakira Jackson and Tina Clayton. The winners will be announced on January 16, 2026. We cap things off with cricket as Drew Andrew lead a list of Antiguans selected in the West Indies Under-19 squad for the 2026 ICC Men's Under-19 Cricket World Cup. The tournament is scheduled for Nambia and Zimbabwe from January 15 to February 6, 2026. Terry Andrews reports.
Andrew, who featured in the 2024 edition of the World Cup and is the youngest ever West Indies men's player to feature in T20 internationals and ODIs, is named in the 15-member squad. The 19-year-old scored 207 runs at an average of 69 in the 2024 Under-19 World Cup, including 130 against South Africa. The other Antiguans joining Andrew in the squad are all-rounder Matthew Miller, leg spinner Micah McKenzie, and Tanis Francis. The squad will be led by Joshua Dawn, and Jonathan Van Lange will be his deputy. Other members of the squad are Zachary Carter, Jakeem Pollard, Shaquan Bell, Vittel Laws, and Shamar Apple. Ajay Gittings, Israel Morton, Adian Racha, and Kunal Tulakani. Brendan Badu, Tyreek Bryan, Ursino Fontaine, and Deshaun James are the reserves. The Under-19 squad will be under the watchful eyes of head coach Rohan Nurse and his assistants Jerome Taylor and Nikita Miller. West Indies have been drawn in Group D alongside South Africa, Afghanistan, and Tanzania. Terry Andrew, ABS Sports.
And that's the news on PBCJ. You can follow us on our social media platforms at PBCJamaica. Thank you so much for watching.